Batteries, 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 and more batteries. Welcome to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and together we are your KTAR car guys. Heard every Saturday from 11 to noon right here at Bumper Radio. We're helping you, the motoring public, have a better overall car repair experience. If you've got car questions, we've got car answers, so we encourage you to give us a call at 602-277-5827. 602-277-KTAR. You can also text those battery questions to 411-923. We got a little bit of fact or fiction today, open phones and texts and batteries. I mean, it's the perfect topic for May because, you know, it's that time of year where you're going to go get in your car to go to graduation. You're going to have your tux on, and you're going to get in the car, and it's going to say, click. That's it.
Well, we're continuing to get our May reprieve, Dave. I mean, there's the weather. Usually we have 100 degrees by now, and things are cooking, and batteries are failing. So it's the perfect opportunity that we've got a full studio today. We've got Michael and Carrie, part of Bumper to Bumper, here with us. We've got Billy Kahn and Dave Walworth from Interstate Batteries. And Interstate Battery, we're happy to announce a new partner with Bumper to Bumper Radio. So we thought, perfect, let's get the battery experts in here to talk about batteries, answer your questions. I know Dave and I know a lot about batteries, but as we sit around and talk, there's all this stuff that you've forgotten. And so, guys, thanks for coming in. It's a pleasure to have you here. Batteries, you talk about the summertime or any time of the year. It used to be back east. When I lived back in Virginia, the first cold. Well, in Arizona now we have the first hot, when it's really hot. And the batteries, they take a beating in the summertime. So you really want to be proactive before you find yourself on the side of the road and know when it's time to go get a battery, you go to a trusted source, a reliable source for a quality battery, and know that you're really buying from people that are part of the community.
Well, the reason we partnered with Interstate Battery, they've been around since 1952. I mean, it is the number one replacement brand covered at more shops across the nation. And guys, I want to know, because you guys are here in Arizona distributing batteries, what part of the country is the hot spot for selling batteries?
Phoenix.
Phoenix? Is it the number one?
A battery in Phoenix lasts the least of anywhere in the U.S.
And I always thought that was like the urban, we make up our statistics as we go along, right, Dave?
All the time. 70% of all statistics are made up just before they're given.
Right, just like that one. But so is that that's what we've always felt. But I guess with Interstate, you have the stats behind that really just show that this is the toughest climate on batteries?
Yeah, forever. They've been doing what they call a junk bin studies. It just they hire people to test batteries that have been discarded and called no good anymore, and that's where they come up with those numbers. The good news for us and for hopefully most of your listeners is Interstate Batteries. We've upped that age in the last 20 years that I've been out here, so we're lasting a lot longer than we used to.
I think I heard something earlier today about 35 months was about the average lifespan of it.
39 months.
39 in Arizona.
Wow.
As opposed to high 60s in, say, Minnesota.
Well, no, you guys, I mean, we didn't just bring the Interstate Battery guys. These guys have been slinging batteries for a long time. Billy, how long have you been slinging batteries back from your Chicago days?
I started with Interstate June 6th of 1980.
Man, so there's all kinds of battery knowledge here. So if you guys got questions about batteries, I know it's one of those things that people still change out themselves and deal with, but sometimes you just want to get a battery changed, and I'm a big fan of just getting battery changed.
Well, yeah, I mean, the battery's going to fail. After you've got a certain amount of life out of the battery, you have to ask yourself, do I want to buy this battery when I'm in control of the situation, or do I want to buy this battery on the way to the wedding, on the way to graduation or vacation? Hey, I'd really look forward to buying one at the Pilot Truck Stop in Blythe. That would be fantastic on vacation. Wouldn't it?
It's going to be a good price, too.
Yeah. So the point is that we can, going to the repair shop on a regular basis, the one thing that I think most shops do now is test your battery. I know at Virginia Auto Service, we're testing the battery every single time the car comes in. We want to let you know about it. And quite honestly, we're not just testing other people's batteries. We're testing our batteries, the batteries we sell you. The Interstate Battery, we're still testing those on a regular basis, because even if it's our good battery that we know is a good battery in there, they at some point, like everything else, they're going to die.
Well, you were saying, Billy, before the show that, I mean, you guys have increased the life of these batteries and the life expectancy, but at the same time, it's got harder on the battery because there's so many systems now. You know, that vehicle is always drawing from that battery, even when you think it's not. Oh, it's off, nothing's happening. Well, we've got to keep all that stuff alive. So we were talking about a Cadillac, and there may be 20 modules on there, different things happening. These vehicles that have the start-stop technology, there's all kinds of new stuff. So to make the battery last longer, at the same time, it's harder on the battery because they're more in demand. And for testing, just because it starts your car doesn't mean it's a good battery. If you can tell us a little bit about that.
Well, exactly. And back in 1980, when I started, the battery just had to start the car. And my dad had to teach me how to pump the gas just right so the carburetor wouldn't flood out and the car would start. And those days are gone now. So Interstate's gotten better at it because we had to. There's drivability computers on the car now that even when the key's off, there's a constant drain on the battery to make sure that it can keep that in its memory so your car drives like you expect it to every morning when you get in it.
Well, and one of the reasons that we're testing the battery, most people think they go out, my car goes click, 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 I need a new battery. That's probably the most common failure. And if it fails that way, I guess you're kind of lucky, because there's the other times where you might bring your car into the shop and it's not running right. There's something, just a weird problem. First thing we're going to is the battery, because you have got to have good battery power to make this whole car run right. Like you said, Dave, just because it does start the car doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good battery.
Well, you think about your computer at home. It's plugged into the wall, and that socket is a 115 or 120 volt. You wouldn't plug it into a 90 volt socket. The computer's not going to work very well. So it's got to have good voltage. That's where we start on all of our electrical diagnostic. Start there, because so many times we've been down that road where we test everything on the car and we skip the battery. Not that that's ever happened.
Right.
We could have just started right there. And so anyway, Dave, what is the things you've seen change since you started in the battery business? How many years has it been for you?
Well, I'm second generation. So my dad started distributing batteries here in Phoenix in 1981. And I took over in 2001. And the big thing is batteries do a lot more in a car than they used to. And there's a lot more required of a battery, just like we've talked about. And starting even when they're running and when they're not running. So we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of different group sizes come out, and they're constantly changing. And the battery, any battery that comes into a car now has to be more of a deep cycle type of battery, because there's so much going on in a car.
How many battery model numbers would you say? I mean, it's changed. That's been a huge change. If you could throw just a number for sake of just proving a point. I mean, 20 years ago, how many models of battery do you have as compared to now?
Well, figure in the 80s, we'd go out with really about 6 or 7 types of batteries, and then a few foreign batteries. Now, I think a good selection of batteries that maybe even a shop would have to have would probably be somewhere between 15 and 25 types of batteries.
And that's broad coverage. That's not saying we have 15 batteries in stock so you can all come in and buy it, so everybody can come in and get one. You've got to have broad coverage to cover lots of cars, and that's called the BCI size, or the group size. And just because that's the other thing, to me, we see it all the time. Just because a battery would actually fit down in the box doesn't mean that that's also the right battery for the car. They say, I have them come in the shop. Yeah, the battery fits. Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, your shirt fits too, a little bit.
A little tight around the gut, but we'll ignore that.
Yeah, right. But the other part of making the battery last is you've got to take care of it. When you install a new battery, you can't leave the bag on it. You've got to take the bag off. You've got to make sure that thing is strapped down. There's a battery hold down, and that needs to be there, because otherwise the battery vibrates and takes a beating and shortens the life. Can cause it to leak. You've got to have the area clean. You got to have the connections clean. I mean, even just the maintenance of a battery, you have a little bit of dirt on the top of the battery, that's going to cause a draw.
Well, the thing I like about Interstate, and the reason we carry them at Tri-City Transmission, is I've been working in an auto shop since I was 16 years old, and every single one of them carried Interstate Battery. So it's just a brand that's been around a long time, and I don't care where you are in this country, you can find somebody to take care of your Interstate Battery should there be a problem. And they're not going anywhere. And it's a good brand name. They're not going to burn. So Interstate Battery, that's why we like them, and I can in my shop. What kind of battery? Well, it's Interstate. Yeah, no problem. That's a good brand.